Hey there, and welcome to another episode of what we are calling TKS Insiders. This is a series that we're doing for The Knit Show channel right here on YouTube. And really, they're special pieces in partnerships with companies who we are really proud to work with. And they're giving you the inside scoop on great tools of the trade, products, and yarns that I am excited about and the entire TKS team really digs. So I'm happy today to be able to bring you beautiful yarns by a company called Be Sweet. So this company, and in addition to having really just unique, just head-turning, gorgeous pieces, you can see, one of them that I'm wearing right now is made out of some of their yarns. Really, their foundation is what drew my attention. They are based on just the bare minimum philosophy that we should be kind to each other. So it was founded in Cape Town, South Africa in 2003. And really there was just sort of this need to bring sort of like fashion forward, environmentally friendly, socially responsible yarns to the community. And also the sort of want that we all have to sort of reach out and help global economics. And so in this particular area where there was some economic depression and continues to be, this company really is behind artisans to give them the confidence to be able to create and sustain their small businesses to enrich their own families. So I'm really thrilled to be working now with Lori Cook, who has since brought the company to Michigan. And as you can see, each yarn is really what I like to call filled with little bits of special. So later, I'm going to be showing you how to make a great one skein project that would be perfect as a gift. Head turning again. But first I'm going to take you through a little walk and talk of some of their yarns. Okay, so they've got loads of sort of beautiful mohair and hand spun yarn. So they've got a Be Sweet boucle, and boucle just is reference to, I don't know if you can see the tiny little loops that are in this yarn. That is called boucle. So they've got a boucle yarn. They've got, if you want a little razzle dazzle, they've got one that's got a really beautiful metallic woven through it, like this garment has. They've got a lovely, super thin, skinny wool. And let me pull this down. You can see this shawl right here, this lace shawl is knit in that. There's also mohair. There's your just, go-to Mulberry Meadows, which is a superwash merino. So merino and silk, you can't go wrong with that. And this is another mohair project. So beautiful, knit on the bias in the pastel colors that are so popular right now. Our focus today, though, are going to be on these really unique balls of yarn. So first I wanted to show you, they have one called ribbon ball, and you can see there's little bits of ribbon tied all through it. And the effect is kind of a fun, artisanal, playful piece. So this is just a little cowl. So they've got one that's ribbons, and it's got a boucle, it's got a mohair in it, so it gives you a lot of texture and depth. And this is baby mohair metallic and hand-tied ribbons. But they also have one with beads, which I think is really cool. And beading can be a little laborious while you're knitting. I mean, no big deal, but it's so nice when it's already on your yarn like this piece. And you can really see it pop in this lighter color. This one also has a little bit of metallic thread in it. This is just going to be gorgeous in a shawl or a scarf or even a really nice tank. So that's something that's really unique. You're not going to see that. You're going to look at this yarn and know that it's special. What I love, though, when I saw these, I said, that's the one I want to work with, are these balls. They're called eclectic. And what they are a bunch of different types of yarns and different weights and textures in these gorgeous palettes, but they're all wound into one ball. And so the result is this takes about 3 balls right here. This is all one yarn. You get this really unique, amazing piece without having to buy, what would this be? 5 or 6 different yarns. So it's It's really sort of an affordable way to look at it, but also it does a lot of the work for you. I know some of us can get a little bit nervous when choosing color palettes and not sort of having the confidence to just go for it ourselves. They took the work out of it for us. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you how to make this one ball project. It's a Bandit scarf. Be a great holiday gift for office mates or family members or friends or anyone, and also just a really great way for you to experiment with the eclectic yarn and take it for a spin. When you fall in love with it, and you will fall in love with it, then you can move on to this piece of gorgeousness right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all this off, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to show you all of the stitches that you need to know to make this piece. All right, so I'm all set up to show you how to make this really cool UV rays bandit shawl. So what's really cool about this piece is that it's triangular on the bottom, but it's got a very subtle U shape at the neckline, so it makes it drape really nicely. I guess it would help if I had it. It makes it drape around really nicely, because often on bandit scarves, you don't have enough of the tip area to drape. So I'm going to show you how to do the cast on that's called for in this pattern, the decrease that creates that nice V at the bottom, and the wrap and turns for the short rows that create the subtle U shaping. Once you know those three skills, you will be able to make this project. Again, this only takes one ball of eclectic and it creates such a gorgeous piece. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is cast on. For this project, you need, as I said, one ball of eclectic. You need a circular needle. Even though we're working flat, it'll just hold the fabric, and it'll hold the fabric of all the increasing stitches, or rather all of the stitches that you cast on. You'll need a size US 11 8mm needles, a removable stitch marker, and a rubber band. Okay, so the very first step before you even get started is you need to, from the outside of your ball, you need to measure about 6 yards. And it doesn't have to be, really scientific, just do the old like nose to tips of fingers. And you want to measure out about 6 yards. The purpose for this is because since these are very unique yarns, the different balls will vary slightly in yardage. So if you make sure that you've got this 6 yards sort of bound together at the end, you know for sure that you'll have enough to bind off your stitches when you're done. So when you get to this, you know it's time to bind off. This project is a work until you run out of yarn project, which is super easy and fun. So we've done that. Then what you want to do is you want to pull, here I'm going to go ahead and pull from a different one. Okay, so once you have your 6 yards all rubber band up, you want to pull from the center now of the ball to actually cast on. I'm just going to grab another color for fun, because why not? For this project, you're going to be working from the bottom up, so you're going to cast on about 140 or 145 stitches, but I'm working on little small pieces just because it's much easier to see on camera. So you would take however long of a tail for that you needed, make a slip knot, and place it on your needle. You're going to knit 1 stitch, and to do that, that means insert in that 1 loop, wrap around, yarn over, and you'll see that you've created another stitch. Okay, so that's actually the knitted cast on, but you need to do that to get started. Now we're going to move on to the cable cast on. So for the cable cast on, what you want to do is you want to reach the tip of your needle in between the 2 loops that are on your needle, yarn over, pull the loop through. Now normally what you would do is you would just place the loop on your left-hand needle. The little tip that they have within this pattern though is to have an even prettier edge. If you simply rotate your right-hand needle so that you're twisting the loop, it'll end up being a prettier edge. So let's do that again. And you're going to continue doing that for, the pattern calls for 145 stitches. And knowing that there may be some inconsistency because the the yarns might change, or will definitely change midway. So you would just continue doing that until you had the amount of stitches as called for in the pattern. You also, halfway through, you want to take your split stitch marker, just as long as it's removable, that's all that matters, and you want to put it on the center stitch. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, of course. I have an even number. I'm going to go ahead and put an odd number on. Okay, so then I want to find the center stitch, and I want to take a stitch marker and loop this in. This is going to be our North Star. This is going to keep us in line so that we have the nice, bring this in, so that we have this nice center decrease with this really clean line and deep V. Okay, so the next step is we've got all of our stitches on the line. I'm back to the original ball. This is what the center of this one looked like. You can see the end is this dark green, but the middle was this really pretty pink mohair. Okay, so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and worked the first 2 rows. It was just knitting all stitches except for the center stitch on the wrong side. You're always going to purl. It's a little difficult to see here. Let me pull this in again. But you can see subtly, here, it's easier with this yarn, how that center stitch, you can see, is not worked in garter stitch. The rest of the piece is. It's just a really nice little design detail. Okay, so now let's talk decreases. To do a vertical decrease that is straight and not skewed one way or the other, we need to work right in the center and do a double decrease. So this particular decrease is called an S2KP, and that is a slip 2, knit 1, pass them over. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to knit to 1 stitch before our marker. And it doesn't, if you knit continental or as I do English, doesn't make any difference, you do you. Just plain old knitting until you get to 1 stitch before that marker. Then you want to slip both stitches at the same time. So you're going to insert your needle and slip both of them as if they were one to your right hand needle. Then you knit the next stitch, and then you take both of those loops, and it's mohair, so I'm going to slow it down just so you can see it, because it's with all that halo it's hard to see. Both of the loops that I just slipped over, I'm going to take the left tip of my needle and pull it over and let it drop off. So you've now decreased 2 stitches. You may have noticed though, your center stitch is a little off kilter there. So that's why we have the removable marker, because at that point we want to move the marker to what is now our center stitch. And then from here you just knit all the way across to the end. And that's all there is to that. So that consistent double decrease that you'll do on every right-hand side is what gives you that really beautiful deep V. Okay, so you know how to cast on, you know how to create the decreases for the V. Now the last thing I want to teach you is how to create that U-shaping with some very simple wrap and turn short rowing. Quick refresher on what short rows are. As the name infers, you work just a portion of the row so that that part of the row is shorter than the entire piece. So I'm going to go ahead and point that out here. You can see here how the rows of color are a little bit shorter than when you discontinue working the short rows and the piece is longer. Okay, so let me move in another piece here. So you continue as the pattern calls for, just working as I showed, knitting the rows, doing on the right hand side, doing that double decrease until you get to row 6, and that's where I am now. This will be a wrong side row, which means that you are going to knit all the stitches until you get to the marker. Then once you get to the marker, as we talked about before, you're going to purl that stitch and then knit until you get to the last 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're there. So this is where the short rows begin. So you're going to bring your yarn forward, slip 1 stitch purlwise, and flip the piece over. So that means you're not working any part of this. You'll have way more stitches than I do, so you'll have a ton of stitches. Or actually, you're working to the last 5. So you will have these 5 unworked stitches, and that's why you get the subtle shaping. Okay, so then we're going to work back. You need to slip that stitch back. That stitch is now wrapped. Because this yarn is so textural, you won't have to hide these wraps later. They hide themselves. And then you're going to turn around, and this would be now row 7. So we slipped the yarn back. As you saw, my yarn is in the back, and now I'm going to knit to 1 stitch before the marker, which is right here. I'm going to do my double decrease. So that's slipping 2 stitches, knitting the next stitch, passing those 2 slip stitches over and letting it drop off, moving my marker up, and then we want to continue to knit until we get to the last 5 stitches on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're there. That means it's time for another short row. So we're going to yarn forward, slip that stitch, turn over, and then you lather, rinse, repeat. And you continue in this manner where you're, as the pattern calls for, you work short rows that will get increasingly shorter. And that's really all there is to it. It's so easy, but really fun. I love when there's just enough ingenuity to make a project artful without being over-designed. When you have a yarn like this, it really does all the work for you. So you want to just let it shine. This piece absolutely does that. Again, it only takes 1 ball, and it's called UV Rays. Really cute, great piece. Mark this down for gifts. Sister, mom, friends. This is one of those showpieces that is really going to pop on a plain gray sweater or, you know, a uniform black outfit like I usually wear. Really fun, and it's going to look like you paid $1 million for it, but it only took 1 skein. So for more information, please go to besweet.com. You can also check out Be Sweet yarns at your local yarn store. And for more inspiration on yarns that are, and products that are global, like the South African-based company that's now crosses oceans and continents to also be in the US, please check out our global episode, number 103. And for more great lace projects like you see here and you saw earlier, please check out our lace episode. Until next time, keep knitting. Bye.